Welcome to Getting Back Up, where grief meets growth.
Two men, two fathers, and one shared journey of rebuilding.
We're talking about life after cancer, love, loss, and everything no one tells you.
Well, let's get into it. How you doing? And welcome to Getting Back Up podcast, finding life after loss now.
Truly. Yeah.
I guess so. This is Jamal Jones.
And I'm David McLean.
And today we're touching on another topic. You know, I think with everything going on in the world today,
Right.
particularly in the U.S. economy and, you know, our economy of culture, right? We're seeing a lot of people impacted by job loss. And a lot of times, you know, we don't really get down to talking to people and understanding what they're feeling, specifically brothers.
Yeah. I mean, so many of us, whether, we're African American or from any society, as men, we're so identified by the jobs that we have or do. And therefore, when there's a change in that, then there is this assessment and this self-assessment. And then we think of others kind of wondering, hey, how are we doing? That kind of thing.
Yeah. And, you know, a few weeks ago, almost a little more than a month ago, I was going through doing my usual trolling through LinkedIn, occasionally finding out what my network is doing. And I came across a former colleague of mine, Degion Craddock, and he, you know, I knew his journey. I know, you know, we worked together, worked at the same company, and he was, you know, critical at the time, leading a lot of our company's ERG initiatives and recruiting initiatives. And man, he posted one of the most vulnerable posts that I've seen in a long time, particularly from, you know, to be honest, like particularly from a Black man, right? I feel like a lot of people generally post, a lot of people, you know, talk about updates, but I mean, his post was really moving to me, especially kind of exposed some of the things that I hadn't realized he might be thinking. But I realized that a lot of us think about it. So I wanted to welcome Degion to our show and, you know, bring him on here to talk about that journey, to just vibe and really just, you know, as they say, politic about what he's dealing with, you know, what he's going through. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So welcome, Degion Craddock. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right, brothers. Thanks for having me in the space.
Good. We're coming after Thanksgiving, so I have to ask first, how was Thanksgiving? What was kind of the star of that period for you, food-wise?
Thanksgiving was lovely. Spent it with my godson, who was about 18 months.
Okay.
Strong legs. That boy could walk. I mean, but the star of the show, if I had to say, it would be the mac and cheese touching the yams. The mac and cheese touching the yams. That was the star.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
We had some good conversations about the candy yams a few weeks ago, so I definitely get it.
Your boy was talking about casserole with marshmallows on it, Degion.
Well, candy yams with marshmallows.
But he said, do you do marshmallows? Does that even fact? I know you're gonna have to talk to him offline.
It's like little, you know, you got to mix.
We're gonna have to take that offline.
You got to start the dessert early. That's the you know.
Okay.
I got a sweet tooth. but Degion brings, you know, he's a marketing expert, you know, a marketing consultant, a lot of experience. So I know for me personally, when I realized that, you know, he had left our company, not voluntarily, that I knew personally just some of the work that he was doing, it was a big hit. But, you know, I think, you know, what we wanted to kind of get into is talking to you, you know, kind of as a spinoff, your quote. I think one of the things that you mentioned, right, and I'm going to quote you: "There are days when I wake up and I feel hopeful, and others where I stare at my laptop wondering if I've somehow forgotten to be great at what I do." That hit me really deeply because I've been let go. When you're in tech, you brace for it, but I've been let go a few times personally in tech. And I know, one, I don't tell my boys. Rarely do I actually have those conversations with my boys about what I'm really thinking. And I probably don't even have that conversation with my wife. But, you know, how are you feeling right now?
I'm navigating. I'm navigating. I've been unemployed for about 17 months.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the longest stint I've ever been without a job. So when you go through this type of journey, if you must, you kind of think about your career from the standpoint that it's intertwined with who we are. And losing a job, particularly for an extended period, can lead to a profound sense of loss of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So there are days I'll wake up, I feel like I have purpose, and there are days I'll wake up, I feel like I don't have purpose. So I'm navigating. That's the best way I could describe it.
What kind of gets you from one day to the other? Is it a routine or change in routine? Talk about how you've kind of gotten, because it goes in kind of seasons, I think, to a great extent
Mm-hmm.
for you, right? So say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of think about where I was before I got laid off.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most amount of money I was making. It was the most successful I've felt as a man, as a black man in particular. I felt accomplished, being that I'm the first person in my family to go to college, get 3 degrees, and I felt like I was doing well for myself. I had investments, I had a lot of things going on, and I go back to that space and I think to myself, where was my relationship with God around that time,
Hmm.
right? And to be quite frank, it wasn't the best. I would pray, but I would not talk to God as much as I do now. And that's what gets me through. I wake up and I talk to God.
Mm-hmm.
And till this day, I still do struggle talking to God. But this is the closest I've ever been to God because it's what keeps me going. Whenever I feel like there is nothing left,
Mm-hmm.
my bank account is literally on zero. Something always transpires that just keeps my bills paid, keep my fridge full, keeps my lights on, and that is God.
Yeah.
It's unexplainable. So that honestly, it is God's grace that has kept me going every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I mean, I think I agree with you. I think there's a lot of times where we don't honor God or whatever spirit, right, so to speak. We worship or pray to as much as we can until sometimes we are in that place where we need to ask for a little bit more help. But I think it's important you mentioned that. What has been the hardest part of the season? Like if as you think about it, kind of, is it the mental, is it the emotional, is it the physical? Right. I think we present and we feel stress in different ways. So kind of, where do you feel like that's been most kind of challenging for you?
I think it's the financial depression, and is this term does exist. I actually looked it up because I was wondering what was I feeling. There'll be times where I'll be at home, I'll be applying to jobs, or just trying to strategically position myself to find something that will bring some extra source of income in. And while I'm doing that, I'll have friends reach out to me
Mm.
and say, "Hey, let's go hang out. Hey, let's go watch the game. Hey, let's go have a drink." And I would instantly want to tell them no,
Mm-hmm.
but a part of me want to participate, right?
Yeah.
And I would feel um, like I wasn't worthy of hanging out for them because I wasn't pulling my weight financially.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like I didn't deserve to go outside. I felt like I didn't deserve to go out the bar or go watch the game and enjoy a moment with my friends because I wasn't financially positioned to do said thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been probably the biggest thing that I've struggled with because even when there were times I didn't have job, I always had money position where I could get by.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But this has probably been the most financial hardship I've experienced ever in
Mm-hmm.
my life. And I thought I was broke in college. But no, this is brothers, this is worse. This takes an emotional toll on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So honestly, that's been the toughest thing for me to deal with. And then coming to a place where, all right, I can't afford this. And then I realize I have to ask somebody for help.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know me, I hate asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when it's around money, because usually I am on the other end of that, helping
Right.
somebody else out. So that's been the biggest thing for me is the financial mental toll and the financial the depression that I had to deal with, because at one point I didn't know what it was and I had to just do research
Hmm.
on it.
Yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say, how are friends presenting in
I
this
was about to ask
situation?
you.
Is it kind of when you experience loss of traumatic type, and this is major? Who are those who are still kind of there, or those who started to show up that you didn't expect to see? Say a little bit about where friends are and how they present at this stage in your life.
Everyone is showing up normally like they do, but I have to take some accountability on my part, right? I don't talk about being laid off enough for them to remember it 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So when I have a normal conversation with them, it's the normal Dejan. It's Dejan that's the hustler. It's Dejan that's getting by, doing what he needs to do to take care of his responsibilities, right? So they treat me the same. But when it comes to me talking about me being layoff, they are there. They are supportive in that effort. But I feel so much shame even talking about it that I don't bring it up often, that they almost forget that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? So I have to sort of blame myself and take accountability, because when I talk to my friends and we're having a sensitive conversation about my situation, they'll say to me, "Hey, I'm here to help, whatever you need."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, like, man, I feel ashamed even just having this conversation or even the thought of asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as a black man, you're taught to be strong. You're taught to be in a position, no matter how hard the struggle it is, you suck it up and you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's the callous that's in my mind, that's been developed in my mind
Mm-hmm.
since I was a toddler.
Hmm.
And that's something that I wrestle with asking for help
Mm-hmm.
personally.
Mm-hmm.
So to bring it back full circle to your question, they're supportive,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever I ask, they help. But I don't bring it up enough, or I don't talk about it enough for them to help me the way how they want to help me, because I'm I feel ashamed about my
And
situation,
and
to be
and
quite
again,
frank.
Dejan, this is just one component of your identity as far as how you present, how you make changes when they're going to come. It's not your whole identity of not having what you want now. In fact, your identity is going to elevate in the sense of, and I've gotten through this, and this is where I am, and this is what I've learned.
Right.
And so then it's more
Right.
this wholeness and fullness of who you are. One dimension is, man, this was a tough time. I can share this with some of you all. This is how I got through it, and now I am where I am. Here are the things that I have learned. So, if anything, that has such great strength is continuing to go through this. Ups, downs, absolutely. When it's going to
Right.
happen, it's just the fullness of you. I think to me, it just is that measure of the fullness, getting through this, the
Yeah.
perseverance to get to where God, whatever our belief structure is for any of the other gentlemen listening to us,
Hmm.
that this is the point that you will arrive, and then you'll have this fuller understanding of who you are having gone through this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think one thing, I mean, you touched on the fact that you really haven't told, like, in context and in kind of a normalcy, like talking about the struggle of not working and kind of dealing with what you're dealing with. I thought about it when you were talking about, your friends reaching out and saying, hey, let's go hang out. Do you tell them those moments when you're like, nah, I'm feeling this kind of way. I'm feeling this sensitivity or this insecurity about my situation, and I don't really feel like going out, or my money's not right. Like, do you talk to them, your friends, about that?
Not enough.
Mm-hmm.
not not enough. When I tell you, it's out of sight, out of mind for them. I'm like, man, they know my situation, but
Right.
I
Yeah.
think I have to blame myself when I think about it, because when we do have the conversation, it's they're there. They're supportive in every way, and they say you do not have to go through this alone. Yeah, that's why I have to take accountability on
Yeah.
my part, right? Because these friends of mine, they have lives, they have kids, they're some of them are married, so some of them have their own things that
Routine.
they're dealing with and their own battles that they're facing, right?
Mhm.
So when they want to hang out with me, it's a place of, it's coming from a place of, hey, I want to get away from my situation to just sit down and watch the game.
Yeah.
Escapism.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
escapism. And as you know, as men, we love our sports, right? Football Sunday, football Saturday,
Yeah.
we sit down, have a beer or two, and just sit. We're just sitting there talking about the game. We're not talking about anything else. We're talking about the field goal that was missed. We're talking about the tackle that happened. We're not talking about anything in our lives, is because that's our place of peace.
Yeah.
It's our comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
And I did this Sunday with one of my guys who's a fraternity brother, and we sat there and just watched the game. We were at Twin Peaks, and we had four flat screen TVs in front of us, and we tried to keep up with the game, and we were just laughing and just having a good time, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that's a safe place. So and the thing is, I think about that, right, when I hang out with my friends, when we're in that safe place and we're enjoying the game. I like to sit here and just be at peace with the moment. I really don't want to talk about my situation.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Right. Right.
And they may not want to talk about their situation unless it is brought up and there's a mutual agreement. Let's talk about this now.
Yeah.
And you need to talk about this now because it looks like it's weighing hard on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I do think, I mean, I agree. And I think a lot of us use those opportunities, use the going to the games and whatever to catch up. And I do think it's like de-stressing and decompressing in the safety, right,
and necessary.
of the necessary say and necessary
Right.
of this place, right? Whether it's Twin Peaks and four screens or whatever. But I do think it's important that we find that opportunity to also present like, hey, this is life. This other thing that's happening in life, whether it's your situation or giving them the space. I do think it's important that we don't, not set that table so that we can, so that we miss those opportunities. I'm not saying we avoid them, but so many times we are trying to get, I mean, how many of us, it's a Sunday game or, if you're it's college, it's a Saturday game, right? Like that's the end of the week. Either whether you have kids, whether you're working, whether you're looking for a job, it's like, okay, this is a day where I get to do nothing.
Right.
And you do that, but then at some point you have to prioritize yourself and give yourself that opportunity to say to your boys, hey man, like this is some other stuff that's going on. I really want to, talk about maybe halftime. Right. But I mean, what is, figure out what that is.
But it's the idea of carve out that essential time.
Yeah.
Because that it's as essential talking about working through, maybe we all have solutions for one another when we're talking about joblessness or any other kind of struggles, as sacred a space really, and nurturing a space, the way football or any kind of sports or music events or whatever dudes like to do together, female, whomever, but especially dudes like to do together, that sacred space as well, because then that re-energizes for both situations, quite honestly. One kind of dovetails into the other to a great extent, because you can go back and get this recharge
right
for either of the conversations, the one that's tough coming out of it, just having fun with the fellas, watching the game, going to whatever that show is, equally important.
Fellas, I 100% agree with both of you. That's a part that I am still trying to sort out myself. That's the part I'm still trying to work through. So I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. No, and listen, man, it's my father used to say practice makes perfect. I'm not saying I want you to keep practicing unemployment, but but at the same time,
that's what it sounds like.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. No, I'm just saying, like, practice that. Listen, at some point in time, soon you're gonna have a job. I'm willing it. You're gonna find your next opportunity
for sure.
And and then you're gonna have your next stress, your next thing that you got to talk to find something to
That's
talk to
it.
your boys about, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Yeah.
just when I say practice, it's just finding that space to make sure you open that up.
Yeah.
Um, one thing I think we talked about, and this was also came up in your post. You and you and I have talked since then, and you've talked about having a few interviews. You've talked about, you know, making it to the sixth round and the final round. And I've heard this story from you. I've heard it from other people who I know who've been unemployed. There's a young woman who I know who's unemployed, been unemployed for about a year, and she's also kind of going through that, making it to the final rounds, and you know, thinking she's got it. But what does that do to your mindset when you don't get it? Right. We talked a little bit about just the search, but when you get to that final round and you think this feels good, what does that do to your mindset? And the part B to that, because I don't want to just dwell on the potential negative, but I want to, like, what do you do to get back up from that moment?
That's a very, very good question. It's wear and tear,
Mhm.
right? When you spend hours, I mean hours prepping for an interview, and you do research on the company, you anticipate questions that they're going to ask, and then you leave the interview feeling like you did the best. You showed up as your best self, and you're at the final round. You don't get an email, or you may get that email, and you think to yourself like, "Wow, I did the best I could with that."
Mhm.
And then you reflect on the job market, right? You think about the job market, how these layoffs are trending, specifically in the tech area. And sometimes in that moment, after you get that decline, that rejection, you start to think, is there something wrong with me? Am I not, I gave my best. Maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe it's me. I don't know, right? That insecurity starts to kick in. And then a day later, when the dust settles, you start to think about the job market, and then you think about others who are uh, experiencing what I'm experiencing. You think to yourself like, "Wow, this market is similar to, if not worse, than what was experienced during the recession back in
Mm,
2008."
Mm.
And it's weird because the economy, you could say, some could say it's in a good place, some could say is in a bad place.
Mhm.
right.
But we know for sure the economy was in a very bad place in 2008.
Mm,
So nobody really knows in this present time. So it just sucks
Mhm.
to sum it up. It's wear and tear, and it makes you feel like giving up, because it feels like I don't have a dog in the fight, because a lot more people is going through what I'm going through,
mhm,
and it makes you not want to apply to any more jobs.
Mhm. Mhm.
It really does. It makes you want to go start your own thing. And
Mhm.
granted, I've contemplated that many, many times,
Mhm.
but right now I'm not in a position to do that.
right.
And to be quite transparent, I had a company before I got laid off,
Mhm.
but my job was the cushion.
Right.
And
Mhm.
then when the cushion was taken away, a lot of things happened with the business that just was, it was just all bad timing. It all came
Mhm.
at me at once. One bad thing happened, and then a month later another bad thing happened. So and it has put me in a financial restraint position, right? But I'm going off on a tangent. But to just
No, no,
answer
you're
your
good.
question, it just it's just wear and tear, and it just makes me feel like that I don't have a dog in the fight.
The part for us, right? The theme for us is, you know, one step at a time, one push at a time. How are you getting back up, right? Or the idea that you've got to get up, right? So yeah, you may feel like you don't have a dog in the fight, but you do,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
how what does it look like for you to get back from this, right? And what do you think are some of the key things you're doing to, one, keep yourself motivated, right? I think it's a combination of things. So how are you keeping yourself motivated? What are you doing?
Yes,
You know, go
good question. I think routine is important
Mhm.
because I went through this depressive state where I would wake up late, I would go on my laptop, and I would just apply to jobs.
Mhm.
And it that routine was not working, so I needed to figure out a better routine,
Mhm.
and I needed to go through a reset. And shout out to AI Chat GPT. um uh,
we call
I
we call him
literally
Uncle
I
G. We call
literally
him Uncle G.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uncle G. Sometimes I call it chatty because it talks too much. It just gives you more than what you ask for. Sometimes that's why I call it chatty. But Uncle G, we gonna stick with Uncle G. I like that name. It's more appropriate for the context that I'm about to provide, because Uncle G gave me some advice,
Mm.
right? So I leverage Uncle G. I pretty much explain Uncle G my situation,
Mm.
and it gave me some solid feedback. It says that you need to do a mental reset.
Hmm.
And it is as simple as waking up and spreading your bed. The first thing you do, spread your bed. Um, uh, Put your phone down. Don't touch your phone for the first 15 minutes after you wake up. Go for a walk.
Mhm.
One of my favorite things to do, and this is before I got laid off, was to do meditation walks.
Mhm.
And I realized that I wasn't doing that anymore
Mm.
after I got laid off, because I was in this depressive state. I wasn't doing all the things that was keeping my mind in a good place in order to be productive. So finding a better routine and a positive routine, listening to affirmations,
Mhm.
talking to God, um,
Mm.
uh, calling somebody when I need to talk to somebody, because
Mhm.
I can
Mhm.
become such in my shell, because I feel like I I'm so ashamed of my situation that I don't even feel like talking to someone about my situation.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
just calling someone and saying, "Hey, man, it's that type of day, and I just
Mm.
need some words of encouragement." And I don't do it as much as I need to, but it's in my routine to do it once every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
sometimes I'll just call and say, "Hey, I'm not having a rough day, but just need you to just say a couple of words of encouragement
Mhm.
to me to just keep going. Give me that fuel to keep steering this ship forward."
Mhm.
So it's honestly just finding a positive routine to get my mental in a space to say that, Dejan, you're capable. You're more than capable.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You're talented. You are strong, and you are a hard worker. And it's not you.
Mhm.
You're just going through a season, and all seasons come to an end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's a positive routine that I've instilled in myself, and that has been the shining light
Mhm.
within this journey.
Self renewal.
Yeah.
Self renewal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another thing you said in your post, which made me think, what you just were talking, and it made me think about it. You said maybe you're just being prepared for the kind of opportunity that requires more resilience than you had before. How does
Yep.
that resonate with you now? Like, what is, when you hear that now, and kind of thinking back to what you just said, like, do you still feel the same way?
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. Because if how could I word this? The reason why I feel that way now, because I still do feel like I'm being tested.
Mm.
If we had to go back to scripture, I would say that I'm going through my Job season.
Mhm.
Mhm.
As soon as I think it can't get no worse,
Mhm.
it gets worse. When I
Mhm.
tell you, uh, this has been the most tumultuous journey that I have experienced in my entire life.
Mhm.
Never thought I'll be tested this much. I've been through some things, but man, this has been more of a just an internal battle,
Mhm.
because I have to really, really, really face myself. to look myself in the mirror and come to terms with myself to understand that, okay, what could I be doing to better this situation?
Mm-hmm.
What could I be doing to become better after this situation? Right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to go back here again.
Yeah.
Right.
So as I'm going through this journey and I'm bettering myself as a human being, I'm trying to understand, okay, once I get into a position of being successful again, how could I talk to God more? Because
Right.
when I was successful, I wasn't
Right.
talking to God enough. How could I be better to my friends?
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like I was a little bit selfish as a person and even my family, because there's a dynamic when you're the first person in your family to go to college, to
Mhm.
receive all these degrees. And um, there's a disconnect there. For me personally, I can't
Mhm.
speak for anyone else, but I've seen this in TV shows and movies where you kind of you and your family kind of see things differently,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
which put me in a position to not communicate as much as I needed to,
Right.
because it wasn't that I felt like I was better than my family. It was
Mhm.
more so that um, you don't understand uh, what I'm dealing with in terms of finances
Mhm.
is, and it was just like, man, like that was very arrogant of me to think like that back then, right?
and
It was just
and
like, man, I got these expensive bills, and I'll have family members going through way worse things than what I was
Yeah.
experiencing, and I'm like, man, I was, and I didn't speak to them that way, but
right.
that was my mindset, man, and it
Mhm.
was just like, man, I can't, and now, I mean. I'm sitting here over here with four flats, no
Right.
air in my tires, man.
Oh man. Yeah.
No, and they're treating me the same, right? It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
just like, and it wasn't I treated them differently. It was just that there would be conversations, and I would say to myself like, well, you don't understand what I'm dealing with. I would tell
Right.
myself that. I
This
wouldn't
and
tell myself that,
yeah.
but it was just that arrogance, that mindset that I had, and it was
Mhm.
just like, man, wow. I don't know if you guys can relate to that.
No,
It
I
was
I get it.
just
Listen, it's in the spirit of post Thanksgiving. It's definitely some humble sweet potato pie, right?
Right. Right. Because it's, oh man, y'all dealt with stuff too,
yeah.
and it doesn't
Yeah,
matter degrees or what your job is or before
Yeah.
where you work. We all are
Yeah.
gonna go through it and be tested in that way.
Unemployment is
right.
unemployment
Yeah.
at every
Yeah.
financial every salary range, right? It's still
Ex-
unemployment once you
exactly.
to your point once you're on four flats. So
Yeah.
it's no, I think that's a really good point, and it is being able to, one, I think the idea of like how do you continuously improve, but I think it's also to your point on being able to now look back and reflect on these other areas of growth that you have these other things, right? These relationships that you may not have valued as much as you did before. I will say, I mean, when you go through this type of trauma, because it is trauma, right? This is going to be trauma for you, right?
100%.
It's going to make you reevaluate. I know I did the times that, I similar to you, I graduated, I did my went and did my MBA, and I walked around with a chip on my shoulder big time. And then the first time, I'm trying to be somebody, see something, see level this and
Hmm.
climb this corporate ladder. And it's humbling, right? When you one, it's humbling two ways. It's humbling, one, when you lose your job. It's also humbling from another perspective when you have a job that takes you away from all of these important things in life that you lose focus on, right? So I know for me, going through both ends of that, working like a dog, working crazy hours, and at one point not seeing my family, but the weekends. But then on the other side, a few months later, I'm missing my family on the weekends, not seeing my family
Right.
until the weekends because I'm working crazy, traveling crazy, and then a year later, my job is like, thank you very much. You could go now. And like, wait a second, I just gave up all this time with my family.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
now I'm let go. And now I got to go to, make sure my kids have health care and all of this stuff. Like, that's a humbling experience. And it allows you to really think about the things that you held as important. But it also allows you to your point, to look at the things that you might have neglected, and to treat relationships differently, to value relationships differently, to value your faith systems, even put more focus and emphasis on those. And I think you talked about it earlier, to find those other areas that keep you balanced, meditating, or some of the things you talked about were some of the same things that David and I talked about when we went through, right, our loss, right, losing our late spouses. But those are things, like, they're still the staple. Like, you have to ground yourself and make sure your head is right. Right. Make sure your head
Right.
is right, and find those healthy routines. I think you mentioned a lot of things that for me were kind of agnostic, regardless of what your
Right.
situation, they're helpful.
Just perspective.
Mhm.
And Dejan,
Oh man, that's the point. That's the word right there. Perspective.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's it right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because whether you're in the best of the seasons you feel or the worst of, those things that have always been there and a constant and important will keep reminding
Hmm.
you. So
Yeah.
whether you have or have not in certain situations, that perspective is always going to let you know, hey man, this
Yeah.
is what's important. These are the things that you have to get back to work on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's for sure. Health too. What are you doing there, man? You hitting the floor doing some push-ups. I heard you some walking.
Man, I do push-ups, man.
Okay.
When I wake up, a routine of mine is to do 50 push-ups. It wakes me up,
Yeah.
right? I wake up, spread my bread in bed, and then do 50 push-ups. 100%. 100%.
Yep. Yep. We
That's
we
good.
we have to as we age too, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
absolutely. Keep them joints
stretching,
alive.
the calisthenics. Oh
Yeah.
man, got to do it. Got to do
Question
it.
for you. This is a personal question, and we're not a dating show. But
Although we
do
have
you
talked about
we have
dating.
talked about it.
Yeah.
But have you been do you have a partner, or are you dating? What's your
I don't. I don't. My mindset around dating, when, for a lack of better term, when you feel broke, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is just my opinion. I feel like I shouldn't be dating when my financial situation is not stable.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually ended up. I had a conversation with God, right, where that was my mindset when I was successful, that I don't feel like you should be dating
Mm-hmm.
if your financial situation isn't stable.
Mhm.
And I while I was going through my journey now, that was the same mindset I had.
Mm.
So I had a conversation with God, and it was that, hey, you're leaning on to your own understanding
Hmm.
again.
Mhm.
Again. So I actually ended up trying to date someone, and I was very transparent about my
Mm-hmm.
situation, um, and they were okay with it. They were accepting.
Hmm.
Um, they were willing to go through this season with me, right? And fellas, I tried.
Mm-hmm.
I tried it.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was willing to do it, but I just was not comfortable with it. I
Mm.
wrestled with it every single day, to the point where I had to say to her, I said, hey, this is not going to work for
Mm.
me.
Yeah.
It's not, it has nothing to do with you. It's just me. It's just some things that I'm dealing with, I'm facing. I just don't feel right trying to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we went our separate ways. She was understanding,
Mm-hmm.
etc. But I've tried it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
something that I need to work on, myself, because I understand that, you'll be surprised who's willing
Mm-hmm.
to get their hands dirty with you, if you let them know, like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
this is the dirt I gotta dig up. This is what I'm experiencing right now.
Yeah.
Just want you to know, I'm on 4 flats now. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, don't expect any rise. Don't expect any rise.
No,
That's a metaphor right
that's it.
there.
I'm
So
on 4 flats. I
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. I think no. So one, I think I'm glad you tried, right? And this is, so I have a friend of mine. Um, I've known him for probably 30 years, and he too was also unemployed. He and I were actually unemployed around the same time. The first time I got let go ever, and my experience was different. My first time, it was hard. I clearly had bills. I decided to take that time to do my MBA full time. So the worst part of it was living back in my parents' house, staying in my basement, my parents' basement, and kind of bouncing between my old bedroom that I had left when I was 17 to my parents' basement. So that was the hardest struggle. And then obviously, it was 2002. This is the dot-com bubble. So now I'm trying to find a job. But he and I had this conversation around dating around that time, and he had a similar perspective as well. Like, no, I can't date. Me, my stuff's not even together. And I think what he and I talked about was making sure, like, being okay finding somebody who's willing to cook in the kitchen with you. And the worst time that people don't want to be in the kitchen is when they're cutting up the onions, right? So my phrase to him was, don't be afraid finding somebody who who's willing to cut up the onions with you. So I definitely feel like you should make sure your head is right, make sure you're in a good place for sure. But then also, right, be okay letting that person kind of do a little work with you in the trenches. So
did you feel, Dejan, that it was the societal pressure of, well, the man's got to have this, that, and the other if he's gonna come and seem an equal with the person that he's in, the female he's with? It was it that or something more than that?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I think it was that, and then I think it's also just the type of person that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, full transparency. This was now when I think about that situation, it was long distance.
Mm.
But Jamal, to your point, I think maybe if this person was around the corner where I could see them anytime I want, they could see me anytime, uh, and whatnot, then maybe it would have worked.
Mm.
Um, but to answer your question, David, it is the societal um,
Mm.
expectations of a man, of a black man in particular in the
Mm.
community, that has, I want to say, it has 70% to do with
Mm-hmm.
it.
that's
Yeah, sure,
facts.
sure, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
facts.
yeah.
You
then,
know,
then also, I just think there are some special women, and I've been in that situation where I was jobless and I wanted a relationship, something, someone, some comfort of some sort. Mine was long distance too, to a great extent, if I remember. Actually, it was, and I just realized that person was right for that moment as long as she was there. And then we all, I went to different things, whether I got a job or whatever. But you think about, wow, that is what I needed at that time. And maybe enough of what you all had, even though you separated, and also my situation, but I'm talking about you, where it's, this is what I needed now. Maybe that gives me some energy, something incremental. So then I do have worth. She is showing me I have worth. And
mhm.
therefore, this may be enough to get you then to whatever the other exchange with someone female or whatever the other situation is, where it gives you a sense of strength or direction or courage to a great extent. And maybe that's sometimes the role of people coming in for that short time, however long it lasts, to get you to whatever that kind of next peak will be, or valley
Yeah,
for that matter.
yeah. One part about and you talked a little bit about like your own business. So being able, definitely understand, like, when it takes money to fund a business. So definitely understand, you're right. Don't don't beat yourself up for that one, because I've been through that too. Like, it takes some, you need a funding mechanism to fund the side job, or the job that hopefully becomes the future.
Because we're not independently wealthy
We're not,
up in here.
yeah, right. But
we don't have family
we
money.
Got generational
No,
wealth.
yeah,
sir.
yeah,
No,
we
sir.
get it.
We ain't got generational wealth.
No, sir.
We're trying to build it. We're trying to get.
But we getting there.
there.
We trying to build
That's
it.
right.
100%.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One thing you talked about, like helping others through Thrive, resume reviews. I know you're active in Black Men in Tech, and then you talked about mentoring. What is that showing you about yourself?
To me, it's one of the things that that makes me feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
I could be going through the worst time of my life, but mentoring always puts a smile on my face. And just to sum it up, that student, I didn't know he was paying attention, and he sought me out at a conference and explained to me that one thing I did to his classroom really was pivotal for him in his life to buy a house, and he's in a position to be financially well off, and he's about to get married, right? So when it comes to mentorship, I always approach it that way, that one, it makes me feel good helping people out, especially if I could be of need and I have a resource or a connection where I could help out.
Yeah,
that's good.
I love that story,
especially considering, like, when you're down and you still find a way to help other people out. Like, I mean, that speaks to your character.
That's
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If you read the caption, that LinkedIn caption I put out, it was like, hey, like I was helping somebody out when I came to the realization that I need to do something different.
Yeah.
I was doing resume reviews.
Right. When all this went down, right?
Like, the whole shebang. I was doing resume reviews, and the light bulb flicked off. Like, man, I need to be doing something else to get a job out here.
And taking walks and meditating.
and taking walks and meditating.
Push-ups.
Yeah, me hit these push-ups. Yeah, I need to be doing something different.
No, that's a good story, man. If someone today, if for anybody who's listening, right, if anybody's going to kind of tune into this and they may have just lost their job, what would you tell them? What would you want them to know?
Here's what I would tell them. Find a way to be more vulnerable about it. Because Jamal, you saw that post, and quite frankly, I've been contemplating that post for about 6 months. When I hit that maybe 9 months going into 10 months, I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. I need to say something about this. And I wasn't saying enough about it, because when I did that post, so many people reached out to me, and it came with a string of additional interviews, hoping that it'll lead to an opportunity, of course. But I didn't say something sooner. I wasn't vulnerable enough when it first happened, because I was thinking high and mighty of myself, that I'm this talented professional with 3 degrees. I'll land on my feet. I'll figure it out. And the crazy thing about that is everybody else was thinking that about me, right? So the fact that I was thinking that and everybody else was thinking that about me, it stroked my ego to position myself to say, hey, like, something will happen. Let me just reach out to a few people. I wasn't doing enough, and I was not vulnerable enough. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable when it happens, because as long as you work for somebody else, the likelihood of it happening, I mean, I don't know the percentage, but it could. There's a possibility. It's always a possibility, as long as you're working for somebody else, because it could be the best company in the world, but they may have missed their last 2 quarters, and unfortunately, they have to do what they have to do business wise. Right? It may not be any hard feelings. So once it happens, be vulnerable about it, because I wasn't vulnerable enough. And it probably would it probably handicapped me, to be honest with you.
Mm.
I probably would have had a job by now if I was vulnerable enough in the beginning. So that's what I've learned from this situation, and that's what I want to share with people. Be vulnerable enough to say, "Hey, I needed an opportunity. Hey, this just happened to me, and I need my network, I need my community to help out because I'm looking."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. The terrain will change,
Yep.
Oh
and you
yeah.
get used to one thing, and then it happens, and then you have to retrench,
Yep.
and that's what you're doing and have been doing. So I applaud you, man.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen, and it's just one you need, right? It's just
Yeah.
that one yes you need, and then
You're good.
look at all this lived experience, and you may not see it in this way, but I think you do already, because the way you are reflective and vulnerable with us.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate that. So we flip it up towards the end.
Yeah.
We want to kind of get into, you talked about your routine and different things that you were doing. We Jamal and I, we're real big music and certainly our sports. So maybe we start first with the sports. Now,
Yeah, because you talked about kicking it with your boys
yeah,
during the weekends on games. So that sounds like football.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay, so who's
Yep.
but college and NFL,
college and NFL,
or
or
do you do
Both,
okay,
both, man.
okay?
okay. Talk to us. What are your teams, man?
Unfortunately, I'm a Giants fan.
What?
There we go. How'd that happen?
Wow. Yeah, exactly.
I'm a Giants fan, but I mean, how did that happen?
Yeah, he's from Queens, so
Well, I'm from Queens too, so that's the thing. I'm
Okay,
from
there
Southside
we
Jamaica,
go.
Queens. So that's
Okay,
how that
there you
happened. So
Okay.
by the by birth of area code, that's how that
Yes.
happened.
there you go.
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
it's
So
and then it's
yeah,
coded in your
unfortunately.
DNA.
Yeah, it's coded in my DNA. You kind of, you know,
You don't have a
that's
choice.
New Yorkers were very, very loyal. So
Yes.
once we have a team, we stick by them through thick and thin, take it to the grave with us. So,
Yes.
There it is.
Yes.
There it is.
but honestly, for a college team, I really don't have a team per
Okay.
se. I really just enjoy rivalry games. I enjoy
Okay.
rivalry
Yeah.
games, and every now and then when I have a little piece of change, I like to have a little parlay going to see. So I don't have a team. I just need the players to play good. That's in my parlay, or the team to win. That's on my parlay. So
I see.
that's more so what it is. I love a good competitive game.
Okay.
All right, cool,
Okay.
cool.
Okay.
All right, and then the next thing we vibe on, and Dave is always sending me playlists of different music.
I sure am.
Sometimes it's artists and genres that I'm like I can't do this, and sometimes it is some good stuff. And we're always kind of like sharing and talking music.
Yeah.
So what's your go to for like when you need that when you're in it, you got the PC popped up, you need some motivation. What's your go to? From push-ups to resumes.
Push-ups to resumes. That's funny. You should put that on. I should put that on a T-shirt. Thanks, Jamal. I'm gonna trademark that. Honestly, man, I'm a feel-good type of person, man. So if it makes me feel good, I'll listen to it. But it could be any genre from hip hop, R&B. I got Jamaican roots, so I love listening to Bob Marley. I could listen to Bob Marley at any given time. I could be sad,
Okay.
I could be mad, I could be happy. Bob Marley, he just makes feel good music. He's made feel good music, and I could listen to it at any given time. So I would have to say Bob Marley is probably the number one person I listen to. And then I like to listen to gospel on Sunday.
Okay.
So that gets me into a place of God to worship and praise. But generally, if it makes me feel good, I turn on any one of those different areas of music And then sometimes it could be jazz. I took a jazz class back in school and learned about the black jazz musicians, and I'll pop that on like, man, I haven't heard this in years. So I'm very random. It's just about, the feeling that I'm in, but across those different genres, that's what I listen to.
Okay.
All right, cool, man.
We may add some more stuff.
Yeah,
to your rotation.
David, we got that text thread. David may drop some random Spotify playlists.
It's the DMC music club.
DMC,
the DMC music.
I like DMC. I like DMC music. It get your go music. It get you hype. Okay.
Oh, not DMV. I'm talking about David McClain.
That's his
DMC.
Oh, David. Oh, my bad.
David McClain. That's all right. Must be the microphone. Must be my accent. My strong accent. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay,
brother. David, I got some stuff. I'm purposely eclectic, brother. So I got some stuff for you.
Okay. Nice.
But hey, man, it's a real treat just to spend time with you, man. Sounds like we may need to get in the game at some point.
Yeah,
definitely. You coming through this way, we going your way, whatever it is, man.
Exactly.
But really enjoyed just speaking to you, and I know it's going to come through. It takes one. It just takes one, and you're back in the game, and what an experience you will retell to those that you mentor too. Oh man, you're gonna have it all. You have the full package for them.
Yep. Nah, man. Appreciate you taking the time. And definitely continue to keep your spirits up, brother. You got two people who, listen, don't when you need some other people to reach out to on those every 2 weeks, those reach out Tuesdays or whatever day you do it, man. We'll definitely give you that inspiration you need. We'll be happy be here to help join that club. And we appreciate you taking the time. And thank you so much, man, for sharing your story.
Gentlemen, it's been an honor. Thank you for allowing me to have this safe place to share my story. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care. Yeah, we're just so thankful for Degion Craddock coming, speaking to us today. I mean, there was a lot of some good nuggets
bits
there.
Yeah, man, and he took the time. Appreciate him taking the time and really telling his story. And sharing. There's a whole lot of people out there that's going what he's going through right now.
Yeah, I mean this whole point of just being vulnerable up front. I think that is just so important because it does take all of us. Again, going back to things that we talk about, Jamal, is this is not uncommon.
Nope.
Think about what he is going to learn now for the future as loss is going to happen again to him.
And something he's going to be able to help his mentees with.
That's exactly
They're going to go through it.
Love it.
So appreciate everybody joining us. Again, thank you to Degion Craddock for joining us. And we appreciate you. Come back, check us out. Have a good day.
Take care.
Thank you for joining us on Getting Back Up, Finding Life After Death. If something in today's episode spoke to you, pass it on because somebody out there needs to hear this.
For sure. We're on all the social mausoleums. So follow us on Instagram, Threads, TikTok. Mostly it will be in the form of Get Back Up Podcast.
And be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast.
And remember, getting knocked down is part of life.
But getting back up, that's how we live.
We'll see y'all next time.